Tony Robbins on transforming fear into personal power. Imagine a world where fear holds you back, and your biggest obstacle is within you. It's a common story, one we've all heard countless times, but what if there was a way to transform this fear into something powerful? That's exactly what Tony Robbins explores in his profound discussion on transforming fear into personal power. Let me take you on a journey through his ideas, showing how understanding and mastering fear can unlock incredible potential. Have you ever faced a situation where you felt paralyzed by fear? Perhaps it was public speaking, a big project at work, or even a small task that seemed daunting. Tony Robbins suggests that these fears are not insurmountable, but rather opportunities to grow and become stronger. He begins by acknowledging that fear is a natural human emotion, but he argues that it's the way we respond to it that truly defines us. You might be wondering, how do I turn my fears into something constructive? Tony Robbins dives into the concept of reframing your mindset. He explains that fear often comes from a lack of knowledge or preparation, so the first step is to understand your fears. Write them down, break them down into smaller parts, and tackle each part systematically. For instance, if your fear is public speaking, start by practicing in front of friends and family, then gradually move to more formal settings. One of the most compelling stories Tony Robbins shares is about a man named Jim who had a crippling fear of flying. Jim had been terrified since he was a child, and every time he boarded a plane, his heart would race, his palms would sweat, and he'd feel sick. But instead of letting his fear control him, Jim decided to face it head-on. He began by researching everything about airplanes and aviation. He read books, watched documentaries, and even took a flight simulator course. Slowly but surely, his fear diminished. He realized that his fear was not about the airplane itself, but about the unknown. Once he understood this, he could handle the fear much better. But what about those fears that feel too big, too complex, or too overwhelming to tackle alone? Tony Robbins emphasizes the power of community and support. He believes that when you're surrounded by people who believe in you and encourage you, you can achieve more than you ever thought possible. Sharing your fears with others allows you to gain different perspectives, find allies, and receive practical advice. This collective support can be incredibly empowering. For example, imagine being part of a group where everyone faces similar challenges. You share strategies, offer encouragement, and learn from each other's successes. This community can act as a shield against fear, turning it into motivation. A poignant example of this is the story of a woman named Sarah who struggled with anxiety and panic attacks. She joined a support group where she met other women facing similar issues. Through regular meetings, they shared their struggles and triumphs, offering comfort and guidance. Over time, Sarah noticed her anxiety decreasing, and she became more confident in managing her symptoms. The support network not only helped her overcome her fear, but also taught her valuable life skills. Another crucial aspect of transforming fear into power is understanding the difference between fear and anxiety. While fear is a reaction to a specific threat, anxiety is a chronic state of worry or apprehension. Tony Robbins explains that while both can be debilitating, they require different approaches. Fear is usually triggered by a specific event, whereas anxiety is often linked to uncertainties and future scenarios. To address anxiety, you need to identify the root causes and work on addressing them directly. This might involve seeking professional help, practicing mindfulness, or setting realistic goals. Let's take a look at an example from Tony Robbins' own life. He shares a story about a time when he was preparing for a major speech. His fear was immense, and the thought of standing in front of thousands of people made him feel nauseous. However, instead of succumbing to his fear, he decided to break down the process. He started by visualizing himself delivering the speech successfully. He rehearsed extensively, breaking it into manageable chunks. On the day of the speech, he focused on the present moment, breathing deeply and visualizing his success. By doing so, he transformed his fear into confidence and delivered a powerful speech that left the audience inspired. So how can you apply these principles to your own life? Tony Robbins offers a simple yet powerful exercise: the fear challenge. Identify a fear that you've been avoiding, whether it's public speaking, heights, or even a phobia. Set a goal to confront this fear head-on, starting with small steps. For instance, if you're afraid of heights, begin by looking out of windows or taking short walks on bridges. Gradually increase the difficulty level as you build up your confidence. Remember, the key is consistency and perseverance. In conclusion, transforming fear into personal power is a journey that requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to learn. Tony Robbins' insights provide a roadmap to navigate through the treacherous waters of fear. By understanding our fears, seeking support, and addressing them effectively, we can turn obstacles into opportunities for growth and success. So, let's embrace our fears, not run from them, and use them to fuel our personal power. Here's something you should know. The next time you face a fear, remember that you have the strength within you to conquer it. Your journey to becoming a more powerful person starts now.